They say that along the lonely coasts and windswept heaths of East Anglia, an ancient shadow still walks. A shadow in the form of a monstrous dog, black as midnight, with eyes that glow like burning coals. Locals call it the Black Shuck. Some say it is an omen of death. Others claim it is a guardian of the lost. But all agree on one thing. When the Black Shuck crosses your path, your life will never be the same again. Welcome, dear listener, to Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. Tonight, we journey into one of England's oldest and darkest legends, the tale of the Black Shuck, East Anglia's demon dog. Make yourself comfortable, let the world outside fade away, and allow me to carry you into the shadowed lanes and haunted churches where the Black Shuck still roams. The counties of Norfolk and Suffolk form a corner of England steeped in folklore. The coastline stretches long and flat, the North Sea crashing against marshes, dunes, and hidden creeks. Inland, winding lanes curl between hedgerows, and ancient churches rise from the mist, their towers stark against the pale sky. This is a landscape that breeds legends, shaped by centuries of storms, invasions, and whispered tales passed from hearth to hearth. In this part of England, stories of ghostly hounds go back as far as memory itself. Some trace their origins to Viking raiders, who brought with them myths of monstrous wolves that followed the dead. Others believe they go back even further, to the dark forests of pre-Christian Britain, when spirits were thought to prowl the land in animal form. But in East Anglia, the legend took on a name, a face, and a form: the Black Shuck. The word shuck is thought to come from the Old English skuka, meaning demon or devil, fitting for a creature that strikes fear into all who claim to have seen it. Descriptions vary, but certain details never change. The Black Shuck is always enormous, larger than any natural dog, sometimes as big as a horse. Its eyes are like fire, sometimes red, sometimes green, but always glowing in the dark. Its fur is matted and black, its breath foul and hot, and its footsteps silent, except for when it chooses to let its claws scrape the stone to announce itself. Sometimes the Shuck appears as a single beast. Other times it is said to travel in pairs, haunting crossroads or lonely lanes. But whatever its shape, it is never ordinary, never earthly. For centuries, the Black Shuck has been linked to death. Folklore says that if the dog passes you on a path, you or someone close to you will die within a year. In some versions, simply meeting its burning gaze is enough to seal your fate. Farmers whispered of hearing it howling in the night, only to find the next day that a relative had passed away. Fishermen told of seeing the Shuck pacing the cliffs above them, moments before a storm swallowed their boats. But the Shuck is not always cruel. In some stories, it seems to act as a guide, leading lost travelers safely home. Perhaps it is not a demon at all, but something older and stranger, neither enemy nor friend, a shadow that belongs to the land itself. The most famous tale of the Black Shuck comes from a stormy night in 1577. In the market town of Bungay in Suffolk, worshippers gathered inside St. Mary's Church during a violent thunderstorm. Lightning split the sky, thunder shook the earth, and then, as the terrified congregation prayed, the doors burst open. Through them came a gigantic black dog. Witnesses swore its eyes burned like fire. The creature ran down the nave, snapping the neck of a man and a boy with a single strike of its claws. Then, as the people screamed and cowered, it rushed out again, disappearing into the storm. That same night, in the nearby town of Blythburgh, the Black Shuck appeared once more, this time in the Holy Trinity Church. The beast tore through the doors, leaving behind charred marks on the wood that can still be seen to this day. The villagers believed it was the devil himself, walking among them in the form of the hound. These two attacks left the legend of the Black Shuck burned into English memory, carried forward through the centuries. To this day, the people of East Anglia will tell you of lonely lanes where the Shuck walks, the coastline near Cromer, the salt marshes around Holcombe, the dark forests of Rendlesham. Each has its stories of travellers who heard the sound of heavy paws behind them, only to find nothing when they turned, of glowing eyes staring from the hedgerow, vanishing when approached. In some villages, parents warn their children not to stray after dark, lest the Black Shuck find them. In others, locals leave offerings at crossroads, a piece of bread, a coin, a whispered prayer, to keep the beast away. The land itself seems to carry his presence, a misty fen at twilight, a ruined abbey, its arches broken against the sky, a long, empty road beneath the rising moon. These are the places where the Shuck still lingers. What is the Black Shuck? Some say it is a memory of wolves, once common in England, but long since hunted out. Perhaps, deep in the collective mind of East Anglia, the fear of the predator still walks. Others suggest the Shuck is a ghostly remnant of the wild hunt, the ancient belief that a host of spectral riders, led by a dark hound, thundered across the skies at night. Those unlucky enough to see the hunt were believed to be marked for death. Still others believe it is something darker, a demon, a servant of the devil, or even the devil himself. The scorch marks at Blythburgh Church are shown as proof, the blackened door a reminder of the night the hound walked among the faithful. And yet, there are softer tales, stories of the Shuck appearing at the side of lonely women walking home, only to vanish once they reach their cottage door. Stories of fishermen seeing its glowing eyes by the shore, warning them not to set sail. Could the Black Shuck be both a bringer of death and a protector of the vulnerable? The Black Shuck has not vanished with the passing of centuries. Sightings continue even today. Drivers on country roads report seeing a huge black dog leap into their path, only for it to vanish on impact. Walkers describe hearing paws behind them, but finding only their own footprints in the mud. In 2014, archaeologists uncovered a giant dog skeleton near Liston Abbey in Suffolk. The remains dated back to the 16th century and would have stood 7 feet tall if alive. Some whispered that the bones were the Black Shuck itself, finally laid to rest. Skeptics said it was just a particularly large hunting dog, but for believers, it was proof that the Shuck had once been flesh and blood. The Black Shuck is more than just a ghost story. It is a mirror of our oldest fears, of the dark, of the unknown, of death itself. But it is also a reminder of our need for guardians, even if they come in terrifying forms. So if you ever find yourself in East Anglia, walking the misty lanes after dark, and you hear the sound of paws behind you, do not turn around. Walk steady, walk calm, and remember that some shadows are older than time, and some legends never die. This has been Bedtime Myths and Mysteries. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, please like, subscribe, and join me again for more stories of the strange, the haunted, and the forgotten. Until then, sleep well, and beware the Black Shuck.